Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're gonna talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan ever since the very first one. I've played every single Assassin's Creed under the sun, even the mobile ones, which are not very good. And I have a lot of things to say about Shadows. Now, I'm not gonna do a review because unfortunately, I don't have many good things to say about the game, and I just don't want to be just another video piling on to the whole negative thing around Assassin's Creed Shadows. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the things that Ubisoft did good this time, because there are things in the games that do work pretty well that are worth talking about. Then we're going to talk about what can Ubisoft do to improve this game from a fan perspective and from the perspective of somebody who is a former game developer. Let's get started. Okay, so things that Assassin's Creed Shadows get right. For instance, the environment, the graphics, everything that you see in there. This is by far the best looking Assassin's Creed. There is no questioning that. Objectively, it is the best looking Assassin's Creed game that Ubisoft has produced. The lighting system, the soft shadows, the geometry of the character is very high. The way that they are doing the hair, I think they're still using hair cards. It doesn't look like grooms to me, but the hair system is fantastic, at least on the characters. On the animals, not so much, but again, it's an optimization matter. I don't expect to have animals have the same type of hair that the characters do, but it is really good. How it looks on Naue when you get wet, when she is just going around, it looks great. Also the hair on Yasuke's beard, hair system, all around 10 out of 10. Another thing that looks amazing is the cloth system. The way that the cloth looks when Naue is wearing her suit, and the cloth all around the game, it's very realistic. The way that it moves to the wind looks fantastic. There is a thing about the characters when they speak, not in cutscenes, because when characters speak in cutscenes, they look amazing, but when it's an in-engine dialogue, they look a little bit weird, and we're going to talk about that later on in the video when we get into the technical aspect. But let's continue. The other thing that I think this game got right, and it's unfortunately one of the things that frustrates me, is the parkour. I'm gonna mention why it frustrates me in a little bit, but the parkour for Naue here is just like Unity, bar none. If you have played Unity recently, which you should, it's the best Assassin's Creed ever. I know there's people who disagree, who like the RPGs better, but peak Assassin's Creed gameplay was Assassin's Creed Unity. Now, when it comes to the parkour, that is the best reference for parkour, and it seems that they use that because the sequence of buttons they have to press for Naue to do parkour really well and fluid is exactly the same what you had to do with Arno in Assassin's Creed Unity. Now, I personally love this system because it challenges you. If you want to have a great looking parkour and get better at it, you have to practice. It's not just press a button, move forward, and that's it. If you do that, then now it's just going to stumble on the walls and it's going to look clunky and dumb. But if you get the sequence of buttons right, you can get pretty good parkour. And the reason why it frustrates me is because this is a fantastic traversal system that you barely use. Because in between objectives, you just have to go from town to town, or you have to go out of town. It's not common that all the objectives and assassinations and everything is in one city. So you're pretty much just running around in the horse for the most part. Now, another thing that the game does well is combat. The combat for Naue, I do like the way that they did it here, is where you have the three types of weapons, where you either use the katana, the short sword, or I forgot how I don't even know how to pronounce it, the thing with the chain. I think it's cool that you have the three stances and the three types of different weapons that you use differently, just like we used to do in old Assassin's Creed, before the RPG times, and actually before Unity too, like all the way up to Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and I think all the way to Brotherhood. We had those choice of different stances with different weapons, which I think they did with Naui, and I think it's awesome. And as a fan of the original games, I really appreciate that Ubisoft is doing here. Now, a parenthesis before we go into the technical stuff, and I am going to make a case for guaranteed assassinations. I like that they gave us this option from day one, and I know some people have been complaining like, if you turn this on, the game is super easy. The reason why we used to have guarantee assassinations in Assassin's Creed is because the game didn't revolve around you leveling up. The game revolved around you scouting out things, climbing up to see how the layout of the land was, where you can escape, and it was about you not getting into combat. So the reason for the guarantee assassinations is because you had to be very careful and very intentional about who you target. And once you target that person, you either did it in a way that nobody saw you, or if somebody saw you, you had to run the hell out. That's what the social stealth was for, because you run the hell out, you use social stealth to avoid the guards. That's what it was about. That's why I think guaranteed assassinations are great. The reason why the game feels too easy if you use guaranteed assassinations is because right now you kind of have to play to that. Like, the game is not tailor-made for that. So what I do is I turn it on and I target like the samurai. I just go around and try to see if nobody can see me and just target the samurai and just get out with either the smoke bomb or running and parkouring around. I always do it with Naui because she is the most fun to play character in the game. And yeah, I just do it like all times, and it's super fun if you do it that way. If you just if you use this mechanic and just assassinate every single character like that, then yeah, the game gets super easy. But the difficulty of the game used to be that you had to look around and see how you can assassinate your target without either getting spotted or looking for places where you can run the hell out. That's what the core of Assassin's Creed was back in the day. Now, this is not a positive, but is something that I've seen mentioned around in social media as a negative, and I know why it's being done. See, a lot of people have mentioned that when you do the cutscenes, like the in-game cutscenes where it's not a cinematic, it's just dialogue in-game, the characters are expressionless. They just talk and they have no expressions on the upper side of their head. I think I know why this is going on. To me, it looks like they're using some sort of AI, and I'm not saying this new AI trend that everybody hates. I'm saying an AI system that sometimes we use for animations, and they're using it because I started the game in English and then I switched to immersive mode where Naui speaks Japanese, and I've seen that the lip sync, it's to the dialogue. So when she's lip syncing in English, it looks like the lip sync moves for English words. Same thing with Japanese. When she is speaking Japanese, the lip syncs to the Japanese audio. What they're using is probably something like what I'm using here in this video. You can check it out in the description down below. It's something that you can do in Unreal Engine. And yeah, subscribe to my channel for Unreal Engine tutorials if you want to see more stuff like that. What they do is you use audio and the animation works just with that audio. Usually when you do that, you get a smidge of motion, but not so great. NVIDIA Omniverse showcased this back in the day, like a while ago. So that's what I'm thinking. They probably incorporated some sort of that technology into the Anvil engine. That's my reasoning for it to look that way. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it was Ubisoft trying to make the characters lip sync to whatever language you pick, which I think it's a good thing. So this doesn't look like a dub thing. It doesn't look like it's dubbed. It looks like the characters are actually mocapping that that language. All right, with that being said, let's get into the part of as a fan and as a former game dev, what do I think this game needs changing? For that, we need to get a little bit into the negatives. One thing this game really needs is getting rid of the two protagonists. There's just no reason. It affects the writing, it affects the gameplay, it affects immersion. Ubisoft was doing they did the dual protagonist in Syndicate, and it was fine, it was okay. It just then when with Odyssey and Valhalla, they did the dual protagonist where it was just a skin and a voice. There was virtually zero changes, like literally no changes, whether you choose male or female. And then now it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadow, where you have a character that is fully kitted as an assassin, and you have another character that isn't. And don't get me wrong, the combat with Yasuke can be fun. Like, you can live that fantasy where you're just standing there, wait for the enemies to attack you, and then just parry and destroy them. I thought it was fun. But other than that, like, you have to, the world is big. Going around with Yasuke, he is so slow. He doesn't climb. So even if you fast travel, because you fast travel between the viewpoints, then when he's going down the viewpoint, it's so painful to watch. He should have been an assassin too. Like, you can do two different characters that can be assassins, but the point that I'm trying to make is don't stop making two characters. In the presentation that they did before the game was launched, one of the things that they mentioned was,
I like to imagine that early on in the development of Assassin's Creed Shadows, they were debating between full-on stealth or full-on combat, and some genius came along and said, why not both?
Well, you could have done that with one character. There's something called builds. You could have done builds. In previous game, like lore-wise, just in case you say, oh, that's not gonna be lore-friendly, blah, blah, blah. In previous games, assassins used to be like one-person army. Like, they will be masters of everything. The master assassins were masters of everything. And like, if you look at Ezio, he can fight with ranged weapons, he can fight with melee weapons. They could do everything. And I know there was a certain cultural aspect to being a samurai, but this is an Assassin's Creed game. It's a sci-fi game. It's not a documentary, in spite of whatever I've seen Ubisoft said, and some people say it too. Assassin's Creed is a sci-fi game. It's not a historical game by any means. It's a sci-fi game, and sometimes it's getting too much into the fantasy aspect. Oh my god! But anyways, the thing is, you could have one character that can have various builds. If you want to be the samurai build, you could do the samurai build. If you want to do the shinobi build, you could do the shinobi build. Now that I think about it, if they allowed Naoe to be a samurai build, oh man, the chatter in social media, it was gonna be hilarious. But just give me one character. And the reason for one character is that because you have one character, you can now focus the writing on to that character. One of the things that feels very weird and disjointed in Assassin's Creed Shadows is the fact that Naoe and Yasuke are there, and if you and they both have like different types of dialogues, and sometimes it's weird if you pick one or the other. I know there's a canon way where it actually directs you into what to say, but it doesn't direct you into which one of the two to play as. It's also weird that when you're in a main quest and you're playing as one of the character, then the other character just appears. Like, the other person was just like I've been playing as Naoe, and Yasuke just standing there. He shows up for some reason. It's just weird and so immersion breaking. So just keep it to one character, please. The other thing that I would do to improve this game is not cut out the RPG or the whole open world, but I would stop it with like the massive open worlds. What made Assassin's Creed, like what we love, what we fans of the OG, and now I'm not the only one, there's a lot of people saying this, we love the parkour traversal. I actually love the parkour traversal in Assassin's Creed Shadows. The problem is there's not that many instances for you to use it, unless you're just running around in the same city all the time. What you can do is just Instead of having a huge open world which is just running around with a horse, just have the game being in 1, 2, or 3 cities, like it used to in the first Assassin's Creed. You've always had a horse in Assassin's Creed. The difference is you use the horse in between cities. You didn't use the horse for every single objective because you traversed around the city. The main quest and the story and everything revolved around that particular city that you were in. So what they can do, because I know Assassin's Creed is never going back to that Assassin's Creed that I love. I understand that. So the concession would be, instead of having this massive open world where you're just roaming around the land that has absolutely nothing to do, you have cities, and then you have places in between cities where you can do stuff. Because a city can be very, very big, especially with like something like Paris in Assassin's Creed Unity. Assassin's Creed Unity, it was big, like traversing from one side to the other, just doing parkour. It take you a little bit, but it was fun to do it. It was really, really fun just to go around and just doing objectives that way. And then you can have a horse to roam the land around the cities, in between cities. And you have some objectives that will be outside the city, so you can encourage players to do that. Or you have some exploration points like tombs and other things of that sort outside the city. And you can still keep this kind of loot RPG-ish mechanic that you have now, because let's face it, this mechanic was already in the game back in the days of Unity. They had like they didn't do it with leveling, but they had this little dots that they used to use with Unity, where you have to buy higher and higher equipment in order to be more effective in combat. So you can keep this, and you can keep the like open world-ish, because it's always been a part of Assassin's Creed. The only difference is you do it on a huge city instead of doing it around like the countryside where you just literally just roaming around on a horse. The other thing that needs changing is going back to the Brotherhood. One of the things that I was expecting, and I haven't played the whole Assassin's Creed Shadows, but I have 25 hours into the game. I haven't seen anything about the Brotherhood, and I haven't seen anything about the Creed. In fact, they're not even called the Assassins in this game. It's called something else. And I think lore-wise, it's just not fun. You're just making stuff up and just adding the hidden blade, because that's the only thing that takes me to the Creed, is the fact that they have the logo on Naoi's blade. Maybe if I go further along, it will get to something about the Brotherhood, but I think 25 hours is quite a bit, and I haven't seen any of that. The writing really needs to focus more on what it used to be, you know, the Assassin's Creed, because in Assassin's Creed 1, it was, you know, about the Crusades, and then in Assassin's Creed 2, we got to know everything about the Brotherhood. In Assassin's Creed 3, we have an extended thing where the Brotherhood actually fell, and you were kind of rebuilding it-ish. So to me, that was one of the interesting aspects of those games. I really wish that Ubisoft would drop the millennial writing. It's getting pretty old. Millennial writing is this thing where characters just have to say something that somebody considers funny or hilarious. In this case, that character is Yasuke. Like every time you jump, oh, I meant to do that. Like, oh, I'm getting too old for this. It's like, shut up. Just don't do it. Just don't have the character. It's too. I know somebody in the studio probably say like, oh, this is silly, it's gonna be fun. No, it isn't. It is not fun. Then there is this thing where it's this Ubisoft branch that does this, and I think this needs to go away, where you have the character, like the historical character, talk to somebody, say his name, your main character shows up, says his name, and then there's also a pause on the screen that says his name. Again, this is something that probably something in the studio said, hey, this is hilarious. It's not. It's not. Please cut it out. It's obnoxious. That it is that's what it is. Now, I don't want to get too political in this video, but one thing I would say is I understand why Ubisoft is doing certain things that people will consider woke or DEI. If you see who are the investors on Ubisoft, you would understand why they were doing that. They were doing that because otherwise they would get no money. I don't like it either. But most of these big companies, the way that they work is they have loans. Every time they start a project, they have loans. That's why you've seen some games that even though they're successful, they're not regarded as success because they didn't sell enough to not only repay that loan but also get profit. That's a problem that is with bigger companies nowadays. It's not only related to video games, but if you see, and I'm not going to get into the whole that, but you can do your research. Just go look who are the investors in Ubisoft, and you'll see why this company is doing what it does. But there's a way to do the checkbox thing right without being so out there. Let's just say with the message, with the look here, we have this character, this character, this character, because they all look like you're just checking a box. That's it. The other thing that I wanted to mention in this video is I think we are at the point, I don't know how this game is doing overall. I didn't buy the game. I subscribed to Ubisoft Connect. It was $18 for me to play Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I think it's fair. I didn't like the game. Usually if I liked the game, I would have bought the game at full price. And one of the things that was very particularly interesting is when I was unsubscribing, because I canceled it, like my subscription's all the way till April, but I canceled it so it doesn't auto renew. I got a prompt for a survey about Assassin's Creed Shadows. That tells me that Ubisoft is a little bit worried about this game. I don't think is doing or is going to do Valhalla levels of numbers, and probably that's what Ubisoft needed at this point. They needed a game to be a blockbuster like Valhalla was. I don't like Valhalla. I think that's one of the worst of the new Assassin's Creed games, but a lot of people bought it. Myself, I bought it too, because back in the day I believed that Ubisoft was doing fantastic games. Not anymore. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because one of the Assassin's Creed games that is in the works is a Black Flag remake. To me, what Ubisoft needs to do right now is stop creating new games and just look at what Capcom's doing. Look how successful Capcom has been revising and remaking all of the Resident Evil games. They changed the whole Resident Evil game. Like, it used to be like a camera that was static and you move your character through that camera. That no longer works in this day and age. But the way that they changed it, it really appeals to fans and it made the game better, not worse. What Ubisoft needs to do is grab Assassin's Creed from 1 to 3. You have Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, and then 3. And remake those with the new Anvil engine, with the new mechanics. It's just, don't go insane rewriting the whole thing for modern audiences. Just keep the writing what it is. Just modernize the mechanics. Just add, if you want to add loot, I know you need to make money. Add all the loot you want. Just keep those Assassin's Creed, like the core gameplay, and adapt it with the new engine. I know you can do it because you kind of did it in Mirage and you did it well with Naue. It's just, Naue is just a part of a whole game, but you can make a whole game around that. So if you do this, you will print money. And I think Ubisoft knows this because the Black Flag remake. If they do the Black Flag remake with the new engine and just keep certain things the way they were, they're going to print money. And one of the things that I'm sure is if that Black Flag remake is what we expect it to be, if it is as successful as I hope it is, then we're going to get remakes of the other games. And I would love for that to happen. I would love to see Assassin's Creed 1 with the parkour of Unity and maybe the combat that Naue has. That'll be an amazing game. Same thing with Assassin's Creed 2. Imagine if we get Ezio like fully rendered with today's graphic. We get Venice in today's new rendering, today's new engine. That's probably going to take a long time because I guess they have to remake all of those assets, but it's going to be out of this world if they remake Assassin's Creed 2. I have no idea what Assassin's Creed Hexe or Hexe is going to be. Anyways, that was it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. As small as mine. If you can share this video around, if you like this video, want to share it around, that really helps a lot too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.